I still remember the exact moment when everything changed. The moment I stood at the entrance of that luxury boutique, dressed to the nines, feeling excited to finally treat myself, only to be told I couldn't come in. Just like that, in front of everyone. Denied entry. Me, I froze. My heart pounded, my mind raced. How could this be happening? I looked around, trying to find the reason. Was it something I said? Something I wore? But no one gave me an answer, just a cold, firm sorry. You're not allowed inside. No explanation. No second chance. People passed by, some sneering, some pretending not to notice, but I felt every stare like 1,000 needles. The humiliation hit me hard. I'd never been made to feel invisible before, especially not here, where I thought success meant respect. Inside, the boutique was full of people enjoying themselves, picking out designer bags and shoes, while I stood outside, as if I didn't belong. It was like I was invisible, or worse, someone they wanted to erase. And then, just as I was about to turn away, defeated, something happened. Something that flipped the entire situation on its head. A moment that left the boutique manager begging for forgiveness, his attitude changing so fast it was almost unbelievable. But before I reveal that part, let me take you back to how I got here. Because this story isn't just about being denied entry, it's about what lies beneath those quick judgments, and how sometimes what you carry in your pocket can change everything. I want you to understand where I was coming from that day. I'm not someone who just walks into a luxury store without reason. I've worked hard, really hard. I built my career from scratch, climbing every rung with late nights, early mornings, and endless sacrifices. I'm proud of what I've accomplished. Luxury and quality aren't just about spending money for me, they're symbols of all the blood, sweat, and tears I poured into my life. When I buy something special, it's a celebration, a reward for every struggle I overcame. It's proof that I made it. This boutique wasn't just any store, it was the store. I dreamed of stepping inside for years, admiring their collections from afar, imagining how it would feel to own something from there. So when I finally set aside the money, the time, and the confidence to visit, it was a big deal. I'd planned the whole day in my mind, the perfect outfit, the route I'd take, even the way I'd smile when I walked through those doors. I felt ready, deserving. I thought this was my moment to shine. But there's something about places like this, luxury boutiques, exclusive clubs, that feels unspoken, like an invisible code you have to understand. Sometimes it's about more than just money or style. There's a feeling in the air, subtle but real, that you have to fit a certain image to be fully welcomed. At first, I told myself I was imagining things. I wanted to believe my success was enough, that my hard work and taste would speak for themselves. But the truth is, I'd noticed before, little looks, quiet judgments, the way some people's eyes would flicker when they saw me. I brushed it off, thinking, this is temporary. It's just nerves. But deep down, a small voice in me worried, would they see me for who I am, or would I always be judged first by how I look, not by what I've earned? That day, standing at the boutique entrance, that fear became real, and it hit me harder than I ever expected. I stepped up to the boutique's glass doors, my heels clicking softly against the polished floor outside. I felt a surge of confidence. I was dressed perfectly, my makeup was flawless, and I held my head high. This was my moment. I smiled at the doorman, ready to walk in and enjoy the afternoon I had planned for myself. But instead of a warm welcome, I was met with silence. A sudden shift in the atmosphere. The doorman barely glanced my way, and then motioned toward the manager standing near the entrance. The man looked me up and down slowly, his eyes lingering just a little too long, and then he shook his head. No entry, he said flatly. I blinked, caught off guard. Excuse me, what do you mean, no entry? I asked politely, hoping it was some kind of mistake. The manager's eyes narrowed. We have strict policies, we can't allow everyone in, he said, his voice cold and dismissive. My heart sank. But I'm a customer. I have every right to be here, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He didn't respond. Instead, he motioned for a female staff member to stand beside him, who gave me a look that felt like a silent warning. Don't push it. I took a breath and asked again, is there a reason? Because I'm confused. No, the manager said, his tone final. We have our reasons. At that moment, a small crowd had started to gather nearby, other customers and passers-by curious about the tension at the door. Some whispered. Others stared openly. I felt my cheeks burn with humiliation. I had never felt so exposed, so powerless. Here I was, standing outside a place I'd dreamed of entering, and I was being told, without explanation, that I didn't belong. Inside, I could see the beautiful displays, the elegant customers browsing, laughing, living the luxury life. And out here, I was invisible, an outsider. I fought the rising anger inside me, telling myself to stay calm. I didn't want to cause a scene, but it was so hard, not just because of what was happening, but because of what I knew. The way the manager's eyes flickered when he looked at me, the way the staff exchanged glances when they thought I wasn't looking. I overheard a whisper from the manager as he stepped aside to speak quietly to one of his employees, but loud enough for me to hear. She doesn't fit the image. Not our usual clientele. My stomach twisted. The words were barely spoken, but the meaning was clear. It wasn't about my outfit, or my manners, or anything I could control. It was about something deeper, something invisible, but painfully real. I wanted to scream at them, to demand they look beyond the surface. But I stayed quiet, biting back tears of frustration and hurt. Inside me, a fierce battle was raging. Should I fight this? Should I storm in, make a scene, demand justice right then and there? Or should I walk away, protect my dignity and save my energy for another day? My hands trembled as I weighed my options. The world was watching. What would I lose? What would I gain? The manager's cold stare never left me. It was like he was daring me to challenge him, and for the first time I realized this wasn't just about a boutique, this was about power. About who gets to decide who belongs. And I was standing right at that line, trying not to break. I was already turning away. Defeated, my heart heavy and raw. Every step felt like I was walking away from a part of myself, my pride, my dignity, my dreams. I told myself maybe it wasn't worth the fight today. Maybe some battles were too exhausting to win in one moment. But then, out of nowhere, I heard a voice calling my name. It was calm, but urgent. I turned to see my friend Maya approaching, her expression serious but steady. I hadn't expected anyone to be there with me, not today. Without a word, she reached into her bag and handed me a slim black card. I looked down, surprised. It was my exclusive black card, the ultra-premium credit card, that only the wealthiest few receive. A card so rare that it's almost legendary. A symbol not just of wealth, but of status and influence. It was the one thing that could open doors where others closed them. Show him, Maya said quietly. I hesitated, but then I held the card up in front of the manager. His eyes locked on it immediately. The cold arrogance vanished like smoke in the wind. His jaw tightened, and his whole body stiffened. He stepped back, as if the card itself held some power over him. Wait, you have the black card, he stammered, his voice suddenly trembling. Yes, I said calmly, feeling a rush of vindication. Now, will you please let me in? Suddenly his tone changed completely. The dismissive man who'd refused me entry moments ago was now bending over backwards, apologizing profusely. I'm so sorry, he said, almost breathless. There must have been a misunderstanding. Please forgive me, we would be honored to have you inside. I watched him carefully, my mind spinning. This wasn't just about a card. It was about how quickly respect and kindness could vanish the moment someone didn't fit an expected image, and how fast it could return the second that image changed. I felt anger rise again, sharper this time. How many times had others faced this? How many had been turned away simply because of how they looked or where they came from? The manager's sudden shift wasn't genuine kindness, it was fear. Fear of losing money, losing status, losing face. In that instant I realized something painful but true. Society loves to judge based on surface things, skin color, clothes, accents, things that tell a story but don't show the whole person. And when someone has the right symbols of success, suddenly they're worthy. Suddenly they belong. But what about the times when those symbols aren't visible? What about the countless moments when people are left standing outside, waiting for someone to notice them, to see their worth beyond the surface? I looked the manager straight in the eyes and said quietly, "It's not the card that should matter, it's respect, it's humanity." For a moment the boutique manager had no answer. That day, I learned that no card or status could erase the sting of prejudice, but it could expose it, and that, maybe, was a start. After that day, I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened, and how deeply personal it felt. This wasn't just about a card or the clothes I wore, or even the money I had in my bank account. It was about something much harder to face: the quiet, painful truth that even success can't shield you from being judged, excluded, or erased because of the color of your skin. Success can sometimes feel like a lonely place, especially for a Black woman like me navigating elite spaces. I've fought so hard to break through barriers, to prove myself again and again, and yet, moments like that boutique door remind me that no matter how far I go, there's still a line drawn in invisible ink, a line others can see even if I try to blur it. That day, as I walked away from that entrance, I felt a strange mix of pride and doubt. Pride for all I had accomplished. Doubt about whether I'd ever truly belong in spaces where my presence was still met with suspicion or hesitation. I thought about the countless others who face moments like mine daily, people whose worth isn't measured by their bank accounts or cards, but who still find doors closing before they even get a chance to step inside. It made me question, does money really protect us from discrimination? Or does it just give us a temporary mask, a way to move through spaces that otherwise might reject us? Because behind that polite smile and the luxury brand, the prejudice was still there. It hadn't disappeared, it had just shifted its form, waiting for the next moment to surface. But I refuse to let this moment break me. Instead, I choose to let it strengthen me. To remind myself why I fight, not just for success, but for dignity. For respect that doesn't depend on a card or a label, for a world where being seen and valued is not a privilege reserved for a few, but a right for everyone. I also realize that this isn't a story just about me, it's a reflection of a bigger problem: how society still struggles to accept people who don't fit a narrow idea of who belongs. And until we change that, no amount of money or status will ever truly be enough to erase the sting of exclusion. So I hold on to hope. Hope that sharing this story will make someone think twice. Hope that it will spark conversations about respect, fairness, and what it really means to belong. Because at the end of the day, what matters most is not the card you carry in your wallet, but the courage you carry inside yourself. After the manager's sudden change of heart, I stepped inside the boutique, but something inside me had shifted. I wasn't just there to shop, I was there to make a statement. I looked him square in the eyes and said, "Thank you for letting me in. But know this, I don't need a card to deserve respect. I expect it every time, regardless of how I look or where I come from." The staff around us stiffened, caught off guard by my calm but firm words. I continued, "I hope you remember this moment not just as a transaction, but as a lesson." I browsed briefly, selecting a few items, but my mind wasn't on the bags or shoes, it was on the bigger picture. The conversations this day could spark, the walls it could begin to break down. Once I left, I shared the story with close friends and family. Their shock quickly turned to support and outrage on my behalf. They reminded me I wasn't alone. Then I posted a carefully written account on social media, sharing the raw truth of what happened. I was nervous. What if people misunderstood? But the response surprised me. Messages poured in from strangers, many sharing their own stories of rejection and prejudice in places they thought they belonged. Some thanked me for speaking out, others asked how they could help change things. The boutique, facing mounting public pressure, eventually issued an official apology. They promised to review their policies and train staff on inclusivity. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. This moment, painful as it was, became a turning point for me. I realized my story had power, not just to heal myself but to inspire others. I began speaking up more, using my voice to advocate for fairness and respect in all spaces, especially those where people like me are often invisible. Change is slow, and the road ahead is long. But every step forward counts, and sometimes the hardest moments light the way for something better. I'm still learning, still growing, but I'm no longer silent, and that makes all the difference. I want to leave you with this: sometimes the smallest moments reveal the biggest truths. Being judged or excluded, even just for a moment, can leave scars deeper than we realize. This story isn't just about me, it's about all of us. About the ways we see each other, or fail to see each other, and the impact those moments have on someone's sense of worth. I hope my experience makes you pause and reflect. Have you ever made a quick judgment? Have you ever let assumptions shape how you treat someone else? We all have the power to change that. To choose kindness over bias. To offer respect instead of suspicion. To build spaces where everyone feels they belong. It starts with small acts: holding the door, giving a smile, listening without judgment. These moments matter, they add up. If this story moved you or made you think, please like this video, leave a comment and share your thoughts. I want to hear from you. And if you want to hear more stories that open eyes and hearts, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with others. Together we can create a world where respect isn't earned by cards or status, but given freely to every single person. Thank you for listening.